Learn how to use .WithResolvers method to have total control over when a promise finishes. Here's my boilerplate code, and we are going to be looking at how to use the Promise.WithResolvers method. So I have a couple of commented out instructions here. Make a function to display results, add promise with resolvers, simulate an asynchronous operation using set timeout, resolve the promise with a value after a delay, update the UI with the resolved value. So the first thing is make a function to display results. So I'll go ahead and make a function to display results. Let me call it my displayer function. Document. So since I want this to receive HTML value, so I will use this plus break. So now I have my function. Now number 2 is add promise with resolver. So how do you add promise with resolver? So let me structure these items from promise. So when you hear about the structuring, if you are confused about what this means, you can check online or look at one of the past videos so you understand how you can destructure. That is, you want to fake the needed elements from something. So from promise, we want to just destructure these few arguments: promise, resolve, and reject. So we've just destructured this from our promise constructor. So now that we have this, it's now time to simulate an asynchronous operation using set timeout. So how do you simulate that? When you call the method set timeout is a method in JavaScript. So this is the method. This is how it used to look like. So inside it, and I want to have a couple of things. So number 1 is I want to set an arrow function, and I want to set a variable and perform that will store the result of a simple calculation, and it will simulate the success or failure randomly 0.5. So now that I have this, well, it's time to use a condition to check whether it is successful or not. So I'll be using an if conditional statement to check. So if it is successful, I want to get this text, operation successful. Else, if it fails, I want it to be rejected and return operation failed for me. Now after this, I can set a timer that this should happen after 2000 milliseconds. So I think there's an error somewhere. I want to check declaration of statement expected. Do I need one more? No. I'm definitely missing something. Okay, let me check again so this correspond to this, right? Then if this correspond to this, no, this correspond to this correspond to this. So let me take this part out first. Now I can see that there is no error after that. So if there's no error, then where is the error coming from? That is not it. Okay, so we have this. Now I've been able to set this the correct way. Now, so what I'm basically doing is that that last part is not needed. I have removed it. I mean, this is it. So this bracket here was supposed to be after the timer that I'm setting, not a load on its own. So that fixed the error. After 2000 milliseconds, then the result should be displayed. Now, it is now time to update our UI with the resolved value. And how do you do that? Well, call on promise and then chain it with a .dem method. .dem I don't need all of these, so I'm going to take them out. And instead, I'm going to pass value. And this time around, I'm going to call my displayer function with value. So if there is a success operation, then it will run the code inside that part. If not, it will skip it totally. I'll move inside this card section to display the error. But this time around, I'm not going to call it error. I'll go ahead and call it value as well. So I can pass this as value into the as an argument rather. And also this will be value. So now that I have this, well, I quickly want to see some of the things we've done. Now you can see that here is where the extraction is happening. You can see that this creates the three components in one shot. So this is just the background work for the async parts. A 2000 milliseconds. That is a 2-second timer start. So it stays flat, clean, and unnested. And then we are now using this external trigger, which is the resolve or reject function based on the coin flip. You can see mat.random. So we are using it to trigger a random output, whether it's success or failure. And then the UI update. So the promise variable listen and handle the outcome through .then and .cache method. So if successful, it will give us this, and if it's a failure on the other hand, then it will give us result. So now think of new promise like a locked safe where the constructor control the lock from the inside. So promise does with resolver is like buying a safe where the manufacturer hands you the box, the promise, and the keys, which correspond to resolve and reject arguments separately. So you can carry this key anywhere in your pocket and open the box whenever you want. So if I go ahead and load this function now, then this should just give us output. But currently it is not giving us anything, and that is because I'm to check my console if there's anything there. Math.random. Yeah. The reason why there's no result is there's an error in my code. It's math.random, not random. And so this should just go ahead and work. You can see operation failed.